Hi everyone, welcome back to another guided nature play video. Today we're going to be talking about some ideas and activities that are especially effective for early childhood educators as they take their pre-primary, pre-kindergarten, young learners, young adventurers, young discoverers, whatever you'd like to call them, out into a natural space to experience, create, and play. These activities align with the Nova Scotia Early Childhood curriculum as they spark curiosity and confidence and capability in children as they explore the natural environment in new, interactive, fun, exciting, and appropriately challenging ways. Let's jump right into these activities that can help make nature moments with your young learners as enriching as they are magical. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is something that I'm sure you're very familiar with, and that's loose parts play. But specifically, loose parts play involving natural materials or loose parts play in a natural space. Just for thoroughness sake, loose parts play is defined as any open-ended material that inspires curiosity and exploration in young children. By allowing children access to loose parts as a medium to express their play, they can construct, they can deconstruct, they can investigate and get curious and problem solve, and it helps them with personal awareness, it helps them with social awareness, what's going on around them, it helps them with environmental awareness, what are they interacting with, and how is what they're interacting with changing within their environment. Work independently and play collaboratively. It allows them to practice the skills that they've already learned. It allows them to learn new skills. It allows them to express their individuality and explore and play and have fun as a kid. Loose parts play is just awesome. I know that, you know that. So let's talk a little bit about how we can involve nature into that loose parts play. So the easiest way to go about incorporating nature into your loose parts play is by having a little nature loose parts play kit for your classroom. I have a little bag here. It's really fun to keep it in like a magical little bag. Of course, you'd probably have a much larger one. Now, my loose parts play kit in here is pretty specific. It's just acorns because I just like them. And so I always have acorns with me. Now, acorns are great though because you have the acorn and you also have that little cap, which is just endlessly fun. Look how you could do anything with this. Look at that. You can do anything with an acorn cap. Now, your kit is probably going to be much more diverse than just a bag of acorns. You can have things like sticks and pine cones and little rocks, little pebbles. You could have pieces of bark. You could have feathers. You could have flowers. Seashells are a really great one. Little starfish. You could have sand. You can have soil. You can have all sorts of things from nature. You're going to be keeping this kit in your classroom. It kind of opens a door of things that you can add to your kit that maybe you can't if you're going to bring it out into nature with you. Things like little wooden buttons and wooden beads. Things like dried beans or lentils are really, really great. Things like little wooden discs. You call these tree cookies, which is a lot of fun. It's just branches that have been sliced down into these fun little discs. They're an amazing loose parts play, but there's so many other things that can go into a loose parts play kit for your classroom. Your loose parts kits can also follow a story or a theme. They could be entirely things from the forest, or they could be entirely things from the ocean. Maybe there's something that your children are really into right now, or a storyline that they're reading or following. Your loose parts play kit can reflect that. There are two main things to consider when you are creating a nature-based loose parts play kit. Like I said, is it going to stay in the classroom or is it going to be taken out of the classroom and into nature? If that kit's going to be taken back out into the environment where they can play and explore with their loose parts play kit in a natural space, it's important to remember that everything in that kit needs to be native to that space. So if you have beans and lentils and you give it to a child in their loose parts play kit, chances are not all of those beans are going to get back into your loose parts play kit, and they're probably going to end up in the dirt or around in the forest. And this can be really, really harmful. It might seem harmless to have a bean in the forest, but what if that bean gets into the tummy of a critter that it shouldn't? And maybe that bean has bacteria that's not native to that environment, and that little bird doesn't have the antibodies to protect them. If that bean also turns into a beanstalk, that could be a real problem for the native species. So we're wanting to make sure that we're thinking about the impact that our play has on the environment. We want those children to be out in nature fully and experiencing it and being a part of it and getting down on the ground and exploring and playing and interacting with it in all sorts of ways. And we as educators want to make sure that we are lessening our impact to the best of our abilities. And that includes following leave no trace principles. It's our responsibility as adults and as educators to ensure that the environment is safe for the children we have now, accessible to the children that we have have now, but also safe and accessible for the children of the future. Now, if there's one thing that nature's good at, it's having loose parts all around. So you don't need a nature kit to have loose parts play be a part of your outdoor time. You can use the natural environment as your loose parts play medium. Taking your children out to a natural environment, whether it's a forest or a green space, encourage the play, set some very clear boundaries as far as where they're allowed to go and where they're allowed to wander. You, as the educator, observing what they're doing, making sure nothing's going in their mouths and no mushrooms are being played with. You observe the area beforehand, as we said, how to be a good nature leader in our other playlist. It gives you all the little hints to how to make this happen in a really safe, engaging, exciting way. But just let children explore out in nature, completely free of expectations, completely free of little activities. Just let nature guide the way. That's loose parts play involving nature. Yes, it is incredibly simple and incredibly intuitive, but just because it's simple doesn't mean it's not so effective and so powerful and so magical and an incredible way that shouldn't be overlooked when thinking about how to involve those young learners in nature and how to involve nature in play. Now we're going to move on to 2 other activities. Now these activities are both a little bit more structured, but they are just as fun and creative as the open-ended play. Now these activities do involve some parts, which I'm going to show you how to create and use. The first activity that we're going to talk about is called Faces in the Forest. And the premise is really easy. You are going to take your young learners out into nature and help them discover and explore all of the hidden faces and hidden expressions in the trees and the rocks and the logs and maybe even on the leaves in the ground. And to do this, they're going to use what we call a face finder. Now, this face finder is actually just a picture frame, and the glass has been taken out. It's completely just a piece of frame now, and the backing's taken out as well. So there's nothing that's going to poke or harm a child. Now, here's how you use it. Obviously, it's very simple. You just hold it up to a tree. I'm going to get, like that. Hold it up to a tree, either right on it or far away, and see if you can see any faces in that frame. So it's like you're creating your own nature picture. I had to run away from the sun a little bit. To intro this activity, all that you're going to want to do is gather your young learners up and get them into a circle and practice some emotions together. So get everyone in the circle to close your eyes, and then on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, let's open them and make a happy face. Whoa, what does that look like? Yeah, a big smile. Make an angry face. Whoa, what's an angry face look like? 1, 2, 3. Whoa, everyone looks so grumpy and mad. What about a sad face or a scared face or a surprised face? What does a surprised face look like? And this is going to kind of set them up for understanding the different types of expressions that they might be able to see out in nature. You can let your kids know that it's not just us that has expressions, but did you know that trees and rocks do too? And they like to make faces at us when we're walking around in the forest, and they'll try to hide them, so you have to use a special face finder to find them. Explain to them how to use the tool, set some very clear boundaries, and allow them to use this tool to go around and hold it up to tree bark and see if they can find a face, and ask them questions. What does that face look like? And what expression is it? And what does that mean? What's that feeling that's behind the face? Of course, expressions are how we communicate to each other how we're feeling, whether we're happy or we're sad or we're frustrated and angry. And having children be able to identify those expressions on things like rocks and trees helps them then to be able to identify them on their friends or their peers. It's a really fun activity, and it can be done in a few different ways. You can take this and you can toss it on the ground, and then wherever it lands, you can see if you can find a little face there. You can hold it up at a distance and see what you can see, or you can put it right up against a rock or a tree and see what kind of expressions you can find. Being adaptable is the main way that you can find success with taking your young learners out into nature. They might lose interest in an activity way faster than you were expecting, or it might be all that they want to do and you're not really able to move on to other activities that you planned. So being adaptable is so important. If they're out looking for faces and maybe they're not finding faces, maybe they're finding a bird or a cloud or their friends, that's perfectly fine as long as they're playing in a natural space. Now, sometimes the activity takes a total left turn. I was out one time with a little one and They weren't so into finding faces, and that's totally okay. But what this became was the base of a pirate ship, because that's what they were into. They wrapped some birch bark around it, and we took a little stick and put it in the middle for a mast, and then we stuck a leaf to that stick to kind of make a flag, and we put it into a puddle and watched it float around. It was so magical. It was nature play, and it was allowing the child to lead the experience. It's just about play. It's just about magic, and it's just about having you around to help facilitate those experiences in whatever way works for your age group or your individual children. Speaking of magic, we're going to move on to our last little activity, and this one is called a magic potion, and it's so fun. This one was one of my favorites when I was a little kid, and it's so simple. It's a sensory activity. It's about finding the hidden smells in nature. It's kind of similar to our whiff cup activity, which is in our playlist over here if you would like to check that out. But instead of using a cup to make a little smell sundae, we have a magic potion. And oh boy, do the young learners love this. So this is just water in a little bottle. We've put some food coloring in here. This is just some pink. I actually think this is beet juice that's caused a little bit of this pink color to happen. I recommend using a little drop of blue food coloring or purple food coloring. I would stay away from red for obvious reasons. Green can be hit or miss, but blue, purple, always a hit when it comes to magic. Pink's also pretty fun. So, magic potion, here's what you're going to do. You are going to have your young learners go out into nature and uncover the hidden smells of the natural world using this potion. And you can demonstrate this in a couple of ways. My favorite way is to find a little piece of pine. I have one right here, and I'm very gently going to take this pine, boop, and just take a little bit off, just like that. Now, if you were to smell this, just as it is, it doesn't actually have a very strong scent to it. But when you use your little finger and you scratch, and then you take a little bit of this potion on a tiny sponge that you'll hand out to each of the children, take the sponge, and then you dab. You put a little magic potion on what you've just scratched, and then it's really cool. It's a really cool way to make the smell of something absolutely pop out. This actually works. It's not a magic potion, it's water, but there's a reason that we love the smell of forests after it rains, or why a puppy dog's nose is so wet, because that moisture helps to bring the scents out of things that might otherwise be hidden. So that's what the magic is in this magic potion. It's a really simple activity. Again, pretty intuitive. Make sure you're setting some really clear outdoor boundaries so the young learners know where to go. Get them to get low on the ground to explore. And it's very important. I'm so sorry, the sun is right there. It's very important to talk to your young learners about how they can use nature without causing it any harm. So we can use living things in nature. A little bit of nature to spark a lifetime of appreciation is okay. I like to think of it as a little gift from the tree, this one little piece. It won't harm the tree, and it might create a nature lover for years to come. Yeah? So, one way that you can talk to them about how to keep nature safe while also appreciating is by showing them how to very gently take things off of trees, which is just holding on to it at the base and just a gentle pull. Now, you can absolutely facilitate finding these things in nature, and you just want to make sure that the young ones know that nature is alive. And just like we want to keep our friends safe, we want to keep nature safe too. That's how Magic Potion works. It's incredibly simple. You can make the intro to this, just like Faces, as exciting as you want to. You can make up your own story about how you came to acquire this special bottle of potion. Your bottle can be anything. I've done it with mason jars that we've glued some like little shells to. We had glitter glue that we put all over it, and it looked like a little magical wizard's bottle. It was just like a very small mason jar. You can use a jam jar. Those little spice jars, just take the top off of it, and it works perfectly for this. This, I think, is a hot sauce bottle that we've just like really thoroughly cleaned, took the label off, filled it with some water. It's so easy. It's so magical. You can also go the extra mile in making your magic potion by adding a little bit of like edible glitter. And so when you swirl it around, it just like is so magical. Just be careful not to spill it out in nature, but a little bit on a sponge is totally okay. Speaking of sponges, you just want to be able to cut this up into little tiny pieces so that every person has a little bit of it. A really great option for this is the dollar store, which has these little like disposable makeup sponges, little triangle sponges. They come in a pack of 30, and you can wash them and reuse them over and over again as long as you let them dry after the magic potion has been on them. But they're a fantastic way to go about doing this. You don't have to necessarily cut up a dish sponge. So these activities are really simple, and they're meant to be very open-ended, and they're also meant to be adaptable, not just to your young learners' interests or to your objectives, but to the time that you have available, to the props that you have available. You don't even need a magic potion in order to do this activity. It simply can become a scratch and sniff activity. It's entirely the same concept. All you do is use your little finger, scratch, 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 to uncover those magical hidden scents. The potion is just sort of an extra added bonus to make it more fun and visual for them and get them really into it. The frame activity doesn't necessarily need a frame to have it to work. Of course, you can buy the frames. You can make them out of popsicle sticks and have your young learners decorate them in a little craft, but you also can just use your hands. Just like that. See if you can make your own little picture frame out of your fingers. You might need to teach them. And you can find those faces just like that. And once you do that once, every time they go out into nature, scratch, 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 they're going to find those hidden scents and whoa, they're going to find the faces. And with open-ended play, that is going to translate in every moment that they are out in nature. These activities are just meant to be tools for you to sort of guide their focus, guide their attention, and create a sense of comfort and excitement and curiosity and confidence and capability in this new play environment. That's all we have for this video. I really hope it was helpful. I hope you feel inspired about some different unique ways that you can bring nature into your young learners' lives. And I hope to see you next time. Happy discovering. Bye.